Hey everyone, welcome to Tuck Your Shirt In, the podcast where we uncover the funniest, cringiest and most unforgettable school stories.
And trust me, we're not just hearing from students, we've got the teachers who had to survive it all too.
You're listening to Tuck Your Shirt In with me, John Hassan, my brother, Luke Hassan, and our producer and former teacher, Scott Burrows. Let's get into it.
Hello everyone, how are you doing?
Hello.
All right, how's it going?
All good. John, that's an interesting top you've got on.
Yes, mystery football kits. It's a Christmas present from yourself.
That's the one. Yep. Okay. It's a lovely shirt. Can you stand up and give us a bit of a twirl so we can describe it to our audio listeners? So, Scott, do you want to give a description of what you're looking at?
I'm going to go with a white and teal shirt with a absolutely insane sponsor of Cementos Fortezella, which I'm presuming is some form of construction company. Office Deep. I've never seen a shirt with more sponsors.
Apart from the one that you made, obviously.
Apart from the one that I created for our five-a-side team once upon a time.
It's not your average football shirt, is it? It's definitely
incredible.
got quite a few sponsors.
For anyone who wants to see this shirt, is it the away shirt or is it the alternative?
I think it's the 22-23 away Lyon FC.
That's not Lyon French.
Yes,
Lyon. It's
what
the,
team is this, John?
The Mexican second division team. Yeah, Lyon.
Nice. Okay, bro. Right.
Incredible shirt.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, also, I think it was a little bit late. Sorry, John. I thought I had ordered it, but...
it came about mid-January, I think.
Those are the best Christmas presents. They just turn up. It's like a second Christmas.
Oh, exactly.
Thank you. So, John, how's your week in comedy been?
Yeah, had a couple of gigs this week.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, the open mic nights, they're always a bit hit and miss. You never know sort of how many people are going to be there, but it's good to...
Don't know why, I'm just imagining like one guy
quite often
French coat in the in this crowd. Tell us some comedy, please.
Oh, I thought you meant in a trench coat and he was just going to be...
a flasher.
We'll move on.
That would be
Flasher.
Yeah. One of the gigs, there was about 8 people there, and there was they were all about 19, and it was absolutely horrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's interesting. I assumed everyone was like older at comedy gigs.
It is. Yeah, this was a bit of an unusual one. It was, but everyone's references were going completely over their heads. One guy was talking about DMX. I think at one point they had no idea who he was.
They're like 20 years too young.
And then the guy running the night, he was great, but he went out to the pub and was just dragging people in. He got these couple of lads who were playing darts in, and then proceeded to sort of take the piss out of him because he looked a bit like other people. So then they just didn't come back for the second half. But that's
can't blame them.
That's the way it goes.
I feel like if you're pulled into a comedy gig, the last thing you want is to just be absolutely destroyed by the comedy.
Yeah,
singled out. Why have you brought us here?
Can you come in and do us a favour?
I did another one in Derby, which is it was at like a music studio, which is pretty cool. It's probably about 10 people at this one, so it's pretty low numbers. But I was speaking to one of the other comics who was on. I think it was only her second gig. And we were just chatting, and then in the middle of the conversation, she just turned to me and said, "You've got a really funny face,
That's what you want to hear.
It's a stranger I've never met, and just said that to me as if it was a compliment. And then, she just said, "Do you use it in your act?" I was like, well, I don't know. I mean,
never really thought of my face as funny.
No. Guess I should. Yeah. But
have you thought about that conversation? Because
I have actually. Because I think when you start doing comedy, you sort of get used to taking the piss out of yourself as a sort of a defense mechanism. You sort of point out your flaws and you take control of it. So I was a little bit like, "What the hell, woman?" Like, imagine if I'd said that to her. Like,
it's just you've got a weird face.
To be fair, she probably would have found it as a compliment.
Maybe.
You said it, but no, I was just thinking because obviously you're having a conversation, but the whole time she's been like thinking you've been thinking you're having a great conversation the whole time. She's just thinking he's got a really funny face the whole time.
Just kind of, I mean, funny isn't the word I'd use for your face either. I think I'd go with scary.
Oh, that's fair.
A scary face.
Creepy.
Creepy's more like it.
Creepy's fair.
I think it's because of I've got quite a big when I smile. I've got quite a big smiley face, which can look creepy, and I've referenced that in my stand-up that I do look a little bit like a clown or like an evil clown. So,
well, you could I reckon you'd be quite good. I know you're. Remember, I came to that acting night you did, which is quite good. Yeah. I thought you were quite good. I think you could do like a serial killer or something.
Yeah, I think I just look like villains generally from like a lot of different films. So yeah.
Okay, well,
young Willem Dafoe.
If anyone is looking to cast a white blonde villain, please get in touch. TUCKYOURSHIRTINPod@gmail.com.
Any World War II films coming out? Perfect.
Yeah. We've got you cast.
Cast sorted.
So, I think now's the time where we reflect on the wonderful lives we've had, and we dive into some of our own stories from the past. And I think the burden with this week has passed to myself, thanks to the others sharing of their stories. So. Now, the guys, I think you both know the ending to this story. However, it did take a little while to get to the ending. So if you're ready, guys, I'll plow ahead with this one if you're okay with that.
Yeah, crack on. Let's
let's lay the turf. Let's get set. So, I often tell my wife, I say, what she says, like, oh, what were your school friends like? And the only words I think I can describe them as is just like a bunch of absolute animals. I've never met anyone else in my life who's like that. I don't know if that's just the same for all school friends, but certainly my friends, I think, are just an absolute group of animals. But
I wouldn't disagree.
I wouldn't disagree. Yeah, stoic silence.
No way. I think, I think when you put it down to our friendship group, obviously me and John having a very similar one compared to yours, I think it's a very different setup of individuals.
Hopefully we'll get them on as guests anyway. Nice guys.
Lovely people.
But animals. Absolute animals as a group. So I'll set the scene. So we wanted to escape like all young adults do who are in school, and we wanted to go on our first lads' holiday. So I reckon we were only 15 at this time. So it might be the end of year 10, end of our high school career. And something that we could do that wasn't too far away from home. So we had a lovely camping trip to Ross-on-Wye. Quite an idyllic place if you've never been. Do you know it, Scott?
Oh, I know Ross-on-Wye well.
Ross-on-Wye, yeah. Nice little place, isn't it?
Spent many an afternoon in Ross-on-Wye.
Probably not a place you'd take sort of 20, 15-year-old teenage boys, is it? Well, it depends what you're up to. But not a place you'd usually think of a lad's holiday. But a camping holiday nonetheless. I was just thinking about this earlier. I thought, God, the In-Betweeners have literally made an episode about camping holiday, and I was thinking, I think this might be worse than a TV show taking the mick out of camping holidays. Anyway, so 20 of us decided to go to Ross-on-Wye. I think we just left school as well. Halfway through the day, we just walked out and just went on holiday. You know, a time to drink beers, get some independence. Trying to cook as a group of 15-year-olds who have no idea how to look after themselves. We've all been mummied. We set up our tent pitch. We had probably 3 or 4 tents between us all, surrounded by lovely families, which I don't think they were expecting to see a group of prepubescent boys turn up. But like all boys, boys of that age, we wanted to start drinking. So we got the beers out. That was great, having a great time. And then, one thing leads to the next, and we think, I know who's got a bright idea. Let's build a fire. That's the perfect time. That's what you want to do, isn't it? Do stupid things. That's what you did when you were 15. So we start to build the fire. Oh, this is quite nice. I think it's quite romantic in a lot of ways. You build a nice little fire. You can cook some food. Maybe we'll throw some jacket potatoes on. How wholesome. It's like we're...
Jacket potatoes.
Jacket potatoes. Marshmallows. You think, this will be a lovely little thing. So, and things can go awry from that sweet Scout Cub camping trip. We've been drinking as well. We're 15. We're not used to this. We want to feel like we're big boys, but we're not. And then someone decides to start smoking a little bit of the Mary Jane. Some other listeners might know what that is. I think it's from that point onwards. Probably knew it was gonna end with a surprise. So it definitely sent me quite funny. I went running off into the woods having some fun. I think there was a few whiteys pulled, people freaking out. 15 years old, we weren't very big. I came back from that adventure in the woods. We'd all gone for a big, deep, dark spirit walk in the woods, and then I got rolled up into a carpet and then rolled around on the floor.
Where did the carpet come from?
No, I don't know where that carpet came from. I think it might have been
stolen it.
Yeah. I'll say it.
Some poor couple in their caravan. Luke and his friends have just ran in.
Oh God. Yeah, I was saying to the guys before we started, I said this story doesn't really sound real, but it is. So as fires go, like if you've ever been to a festival, you've ever been camping, the bigger the better is usually how it goes. And you want to make it as big as possible. So everything starts getting chucked on the fire, all bits and bobs. Now, I think at this time, some of the other parents and families on the campsite are starting to get a little bit worried. So, and it feels horrible now because I put myself in their position. You've gone for this little lovely camping trip and all of a sudden these idiot young men have turned up. So this little kid comes over with a big bottle of Dr. Pepper and offers us some soft drinks. Says, I think you might need some soft drinks. And these parents have sent over this little lad just to try and calm us down. Very lovely lad. We're very nice still. He goes back to his parents, but that's just a little cut away from the story for you. So now it is getting dark. The fire is getting very much out of control. The camping chairs are starting to go onto it. And then for some reason, I don't know how this became. And this is someone I think of at school. And I think, I wonder what's happened to him now. But our lovely friend, I'm going to call him Brian, decided to really try and outdo us all. Pulled his trousers down, backed up quite slowly, and I'd say quite fragile in a fragile manner, backed up to the fire and decided to do himself a lovely giant log on that fire, and he marked it as his own.
That is hideous.
And I think then it was bedtime. So
did he not hurt himself? How did he manage to avoid burning himself?
No, I think he did get singed a little bit. He got singed a little bit. With teenage boys started to get those hairs in places that never used to grow, and he definitely got a little singe. But yeah, it's all coming back to me now. Very, very. I've definitely put a lot of the stories from my school years into a deep, dark hole in my mind.
Into a vault.
Into a vault that was very much locked. And now I'm reliving it now. Yeah. Did
it escalate to that point? Were there other things going on the fire before that, or was
it was the classic camping chairs, biscuits, beer cans. I think we might have put a gas canister on there as well at some point.
Lovely.
Really bad stuff. And then I don't think there was a Wii on the fire because again, if you put the Wii on the fire, then you got to put it out, aren't you? So we were thinking quite clearly. because he went
just,
with
just stink out the whole place instead of.
Did it smell? Can you remember? Did it smell?
I can't remember a smell with that memory.
Into his nose now.
I might have got. But there you go. There's my story for the week. Yeah. And if anything else comes up from that story, I'll be sure to share it with us on the podcast.
I think I want to go back to the elderly couple that sent over the young boy with Dr. Pepper. I feel like adding some sugar to the scenario of lads who have been drinking all day is not the way to go.
No. God, I put myself in their shoes so much now. I'm saying, oh man,
what would you do if you were on holiday with your family and you saw a bunch of 15-year-olds in a tent making a lot of noise with a fire? What would you do now?
I definitely wouldn't send my child over to them. That's the first thing I wouldn't do. I'd keep them well away.
Yeah, that was a questionable choice on their part. It's almost like they're scared to go over, so send a little kid over.
The envoy.
They won't be mean to the young kids. Like, that's fine. Just send little Johnny over and hope for the best.
Yeah. Oh, actually, there might have been some Johnnies thrown on the fire. That
does see how these react to heat. Like,
well, they're not getting used properly, so
no.
Yeah.
I mean,
15 years old.
Not by you lot. Like, no way.
No. Yeah. Oh God, I don't know any pictures from that actually. I
want to go back to again a bit more on the carpet. So you got rolled up into a carpet, and they just sort of roll you around at that point.
Yeah, just to and fro, rolling around, having a bit of fun.
Threw him on the fire for a bit.
I put him on the fire, see how long this takes.
Protects him, it'll be fine. Be like a human fajita.
Oh, now you mention it, I reckon we had some spray deodorant back in the
flamethrower type situation.
I think there was a lot of flamethrower type situation. I think that is what led to the eventual poop on the fire. I think it started with the fire, with the flamethrower.
I once took a Lynx can, like that was practically empty, took the lid off, put a piece of string in it, and like lit it, and it does go like a little bit like a rocket. Not something. Please don't do that, people. By the way, that is extremely dangerous, and it was extremely stupid of me. I did it in my garden, pointing down the garden. I was very fortunate not to have it back up into the house.
Oh, jeez.
So don't do that. That was incredibly stupid.
We also, I realised what I was thinking and what you were saying were two different things there. We did a lot of the farts with the lighter and the flame.
Oh yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah.
I think I have to try and separate what was Jackass and what was.
That was heavily
in my life.
In your, in
your era
at that age. Yeah.
We were listening, still a bit too young for Jackass at that point.
I think for anyone listening, if you do want to know what that was, look at what Jackass was. It featured Johnny Knoxville amongst others. It was a show where a group of sort of 18 to 30-year-olds just did really stupid stuff to get themselves in as much pain as possible, doing stunts and things like that. But yeah, certainly worth a go. But yeah, it had a lot of influence on us as 15-year-old boys who had. It's like a thing of the start of the show used to say, please don't try this at home. Immediately what you want to do is just try this at home, like straight away. I think it was almost, there was people say it's your entire personality. I think Jackass was almost our entire personality at that age.
I feel like even the look came into things for you guys, like the Bam Margera, like sort of Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think we were also just literally saying like, oh, this is something. This is rolling up in a carpet and getting kicked by a bunch of guys.
What, just to an imaginary camera, as if you're filming it?
I think it is ringing a lot of bells. We do. Oh, this is rolling off the bed and hitting the floor from a triple bunk bed.
This is pooing on a fire, obviously.
That's pooing on a fire.
You know what? I think that might have been there. This is pooing on a fire. Well, no, I'll beep that. This is Brian. I do wonder, like, is this in his head? Do you think he thinks about this, or do you think is this?
When was the last time you spoke to him?
I think I saw him about 10 years ago, something like that.
I imagine that didn't come up. Probably
it didn't come up.
No,
it didn't come up. It was more like, oh yeah,
with his family.
Yeah, I think he was with his sister. Oh, do you remember that time you peed on the fire? Yeah.
Oh God,
yeah.
That's rogue. That's
rogue. Oh, it's horrendous, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I can safely say when we did trips away and stuff like that, no one pooed on a fire from our lot. So yeah. I think you've definitely got the animals in your friendship group, Luke.
Producer Scott, have you got anything to throw at us from the emails this week?
I have. This is actually from your cousin in Australia.
Oh,
thank you, Neve, for sending this in. So obviously. I like this.
I don't know in an Australian
accent. I can try, lads.
Oh, no,
see how it goes. No, absolutely shocking. No, I'm going to stick to my normal voice. I think.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. So at her high school, so we're in high school. In Queensland, they had apps on their phones. So I think Neve is a little bit younger than us. To say the least, and on their phones they had an app which allowed their phone to be used as a universal remote.
That seems bad already. That seems really bad.
I think safely it only works on Android phones, so not iPhones. So not many people could do it because most people used iPhones, she says. But they used to have like teachers just baffled as to why the technology would not work. Like things like they'd have IT people coming in to try and fix the projectors when really it was just people in the classroom just messing with it. And as a teacher, when you have technical issues in a classroom, everything just turns into full panic mode. It's like you're just like, especially if your whole lesson just refers to the use of technology. But when she was in year 11, her family moved to a different state, and she actually had the app on her phone. No one in the school or in the class knew about this app or knew about anything. And I'm scared to put this out, because if this goes anywhere and people realize this is an app, this could lead to some absolutely horrendous few months for people in school. So I apologize, any teachers listening to this. But this app, I'm not going to name that app, just to make people have to search for it more. She'd get bored, and she'd often just start cranking the volume up or down if a video was played. Teachers would often use a freeze setting on the projector so that the class could see the board and they could do some stuff on their laptop or whatever. And she'd just turn it off and get a little giggle about seeing what the teacher was Googling or their emails. One teacher remarked that there must be a ghost in the room. The maths teacher had the whole classroom changed because the board didn't work and always turned off.
Oh no, that's bad. That's bad.
She was once in a classroom where the teacher was using an overhead projector to project the image onto paper onto the whiteboard, and we zoomed it all the way in, and he kept adjusting the projector. And just didn't understand when it was randomly zooming in, which is absolutely brilliant. So we used to have music lessons at school, and they would often be halfway through her maths lessons. And she came back from the music lesson one day, and there was no one there. Everyone's books were on the desk, so I assumed that she'd gone out to do some type of activity. And on the teacher's desk was an open packet of chocolate Freddos, like the little chocolates, which are extortionately expensive nowadays, but we'll move on from there. And she just decided that, the open packet of Freddos, as I think most students would probably do, she just took 2 of them and ate them. The class returned, and the Freddos were a prize for the winners of the task. So the teacher had 12 had 12 chocolates in the packet, ready to hand out at to the winning groups, and then was really confused as there were only 10, and literally like lost his mind, saying there are 12. This is ridiculous. There's definitely a ghost in my classroom. Like convinced that they'd gone. And she actually ended up confessing to the teacher, which thought it used to be hilarious.
About the whole thing, or just the
about the whole thing, and the teacher took it very, very, very well, which I absolutely love. She's also added like a second little story to the end of her email, so we'll save that one for next time because it's also a very good, very, very good little story. But that is fabulous. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. That is fantastic.
I absolutely love. When I was at when I used to work we actually used to work in an office before, obviously COVID. Now I work at home. I used to sit behind another bank of desks so I could see their screen in front of me. And I plugged my wireless mouse into the person's laptop in front of me.
I love that. That is brilliant.
And every time he turned around to talk to me, I'd just like open things or like turn his screen around and stuff like that. And he'd turn back and there'd just be like random web pages open. I was just losing my mind right there.
That would be so good.
Like that.
Oh, I love it. It's such little things, but over time, it gets more and more funny.
I never questioned it. At one point, I turned his screen sideways, and he didn't know how to turn it back. So yeah, he just tilted his head and was just looking at the screen 90 degrees for like pages.
Absolute. That is evil. That is absolutely evil. But
well, you know what I'm like, don't you? So it probably would have been you if you worked together.
It probably would be. I can't. Yeah. I mean, definitely, we could have worked together. You chose not to do that.
That's true. Yeah. I couldn't hack being a teacher. I tried teaching. I lasted 3 months in teacher training and gave it up. And then Scott persisted for, was it 4 years, 3 years?
6 years in the
6 years. I didn't realise it was that long.
6 years, yeah. Old man now. But yeah, me and John could have worked at the same school if he hadn't given it up, which would have been, honestly, it's probably for the best that he did give it up because no one would have wanted that. We would have got no work done. We would have had full.
Probably would have had classes turning against each other.
It just wouldn't have been fun. There would have been all-out war in the school. We would have worked on the same, possibly on the same floor, but definitely in the same building as well, which that's just not good for anyone's morale. No.
Well, thank you, Neve, for your email. I don't think we don't know each other very well at all. And just hearing that, I can tell you're absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, that is genius. I absolutely love that. I'd have loved that, someone doing that at my school.
Oh God,
I to hold it in. Yeah,
I would not be able to keep that in.
This is the part of the podcast where my like junior self as a person is like, oh my God, that is incredible. That is so funny. As a teacher, that would have been the most horrendous situation to be in. And that, like, I can never turn my brain off from that. I'm not a teacher anymore. I don't see myself as a teacher anymore. I never want to go back into that profession. But I still have that thought of, oh, those poor people, because you do genuinely just feel for them in that situation. Like, I would have just been losing my mind. I would have been sweating. There would have been like full on drips coming down me. Like, no, that's just not. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
I keep thinking about it and thinking like how long this must have gone on for.
Oh, no.
And then she gets to herself in the previous school and then it all of a sudden would stop. And then they're like, oh, have IT been up and fixed this? It seems to be working now. I think my highlight was the overhead projector.
That is
zoomed
gold.
It in.
Yeah. As someone that works in IT as well, I imagine that department got a lot of abuse from the teachers. Probably thinking, like, for God's sake, just like
they are useless. They can't do anything. Can you not fix this glaring issue that I am having? And I love the fact that no one picked up. It was just one of the kids with an app on their phone.
It's such an innocent thing as well. It's just a little thing, like very innocent, but like such long lasting.
Brilliant.
You can like that story alone is the reason that the ban for phones has come into schools in the UK. Like, just stuff like that. Obviously, you've got all of the online bullying and stuff like that goes on as well, and having time away from a phone. But those sorts of incidents must happen all over the country every day on a daily basis. Absolutely amazing. Would love to have been in the classroom to see that.
It's always was it the maths lesson or was it music or what was it again?
Maths. She
did a music. Okay,
kept it away from a music lesson. Obviously, because she enjoyed that. Obviously, maths was not her favourite subject. She just enjoyed messing with the teacher.
It makes me. We used to have music lessons. And you do feel like you say you feel for the teachers now you're like you think you're their age, but at the time it was fantastic. We had these supply teacher used to come in, and I don't know how it started, but whenever he used to leave the room, I don't know why he was leaving the room so much. In fairness, that does raise other questions.
just to have a little cry in the corridor.
Yeah, very slightly. Yeah, or getting some apparatus. Every time he'd leave the room, we'd all start tapping in the table, going, "Oh!" And then he'd come in and we'd be dead silent. And we just did it week after week after week after week. And he'd
lose his mind.
Yeah, he'd come back in. I heard that. All of you, I heard it. And
I mean, I bet it was better coming into the classroom and hearing that than coming in and smelling a shit in the middle of the floor as it was your friend.
Oh, yeah, I guess so, yeah. It wasn't too bad. I just remember one time here, the Coombs tape recorder, which I think still exists in schools. I don't know if they're still recording on tape. Do you remember those tape recorders? I went to school in another age, didn't I? I remember one time he pressed record and like in the most unsubtle way, and we knew what was going on. And I think even then, we still did it. We're like, we can't resist. We've got to do it again. Get it on tape. And he came again. I've recorded you. It's like, oh, great, thanks. And I'm pretty sure that teacher came in, Scott. I think they sent in the big guns.
The big guns, shit, yeah, scary.
They brought Miss Nibs in.
They brought Miss Nibs in. You knew, and that's when you knew you were in trouble. If Miss Nibs came into the room, you were in big trouble. That woman was.
The teachers used her, didn't they, as a threat? Like, I think once I was asked to go and get Miss Nibs to come and tell off another class, and I was horrible walking up there as that person, like knocking on her, interrupting her class to ask her to come and tell off another class. Yeah. That was absolutely horrible.
Get on the radio, John. We need air support.
I think at some
Niner. We need Mrs. Nibs.
I think at some point we need to have an episode just based around Mrs. Nibs because she is just a legend of our of our school. Yeah. We all went to the same school growing up, and she is just that teacher that just if you mentioned her name to anyone from our school during that period, they would all be like, "Oh yeah, we remember Mrs. Nibs."
Yeah. I think this episode's got to be dedicated to Mrs. Nibs. Thank you, Mrs. Nibs. You put the fear of God into us. And she's a lovely lady, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
absolutely
she is.
Lovely lady,
absolutely
but also
lovely lady.
Very terrifying at the same time. Yeah. I hope you're doing well, Miss Nibs. If you're listening to this, let us actually. If you want to come on as a guest, we'd love that. We would love that. I'd be scared. I think we'd have to let Mrs. Nibs lead that one. Get in touch. But to everyone else, if you've got a story you'd like to share, whether it's as a student or as a teacher or as an ex-teacher, which I'm sure there's many, please get in touch at TUCKYOURSHIRTINPOD@gmail.com. And we've also got a Discord server. We'll pop that in the description. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.